As you all recall, our intrepid yet lazy explorer previously battled long and hard against the vile monsters of the design realm. He then thought he could rejoice in the clever clicks and clacks made by the cogs and wheels of the programming kingdom. But alas, the tyranny of the menus had taken over and transformed it into a wasteland of scroll containers and user experience. After trials and tribulations, our hero prepared himself to what might be the greatest challenge thus far. So, though it wasn't originally planned, in me documenting my indie experience over the last months, I've been aware of how I've tackled design, programming, and art sequentially, and subsequently each devlog has ended up focused on one of these three specialties of game development. I felt like I'd made tons of progress with the game's logic, and I was more so waiting for the design of the maps and the systems to be done. As I know the game in and out, it was clear to me how much good work was being done in the logics of the system and the game, but whenever I proudly showed it to anyone, like a house cat showing the mouse they've killed to their owner, I received a very similar expression of disgust, really. Once you get into programming mode, you know the ins and outs of your systems and how great they are, but the common Joe only cares about what they see, aesthetics. So the menu can be the exact same and use the exact same logic, but this seems a lot cooler than this. I'd even argue that this menu could be buggier and the average Joe would still psychologically prefer to use it over this other one. And I've mentioned in my past videos how I'm not entirely alone making this game. I managed to trick and fool some friends along the way to help me or guide me in some areas I'm less comfortable with, since I don't have the luxury of infinite time and I just happen to know some extremely talented people. Art was one of these things I requested help with. I got 3 amazing artists, each making the characters of a different facet of the game. So, the characters, be it the portraits, the backstage characters, or the map sprites, are progressing really nice. But everything else needed some work. I took the task upon myself and started with the UI and the menus for 2 reasons. 1, I have a habit of starting off with the thing I'm least looking forward to do. I feel it's easier to get it out of the way as soon as possible, as you've already seen me do in the past. 2, I've just recently spent a lot of time programming the menus and systems, and I know how they work, so in case anything has to be changed, I don't have to relearn these systems again. I also wanted people not to puke when I showed them the menu system I've been day and night working on. So I got to work and looked at how other RPGs handle their UI, and I realized something. RPG menus kind of suck. I mean this by looking at classic RPGs, games like Dragon Quest, Golden Sun, or Final Fantasy. I'm not the best person to explain this, but ever since the NES, we've maintained this white outline, dark colored box thing that... Don't let nostalgia fool you, it's not pretty. Some games put it off well. I'd say Final Fantasy VII also set a new standard on how this style can look in a game, but other games that copy it just don't put it off as well. And you would say, lazy, you're looking at only games from the Jurassic period. You've got to look at more modern games. So look at Sea of Stars, a game that by all accounts looks absolutely amazing, and a very similar game in genre and everything to mine. And it's those damn same dark blue boxes. Again, it doesn't look bad here, but I'm just kind of bored of it. These games won't do as inspiration. I need to look elsewhere, a different RPG, one that's more niche, more quirky, with a more distinct personality, something like Earthbound. So I based myself on the Earthbound aesthetic, color-coded menus, geometric shapes, and patterns. I think I also based myself on the Paper Mario series. It's a style I like, feel comfortable with, it's not hard to pull off, it's not overused, so it immediately makes your game look unique and stand out, and it goes in line with the UI philosophies that I agree with. I absolutely despise mobile game UI, but that's a topic for another time. Now my game looks a lot better. So now the backstage looks really bad in comparison. I mean, it never did look good, but ever since the first prototype of this game we made almost 2 years ago, it didn't look great, but the same went for everything else, so it didn't stand out as much. And as more and more assets have been changed into high quality sprites, the backstage has started to look like when your mom put your drawing on the fridge next to the magnets of pristine paintings. But don't take my word from it. Let's hear it from one of my trusted classmates that did this prototype with me. ¿Qué es lo que más te gustaba del backstage?
Era impresionante, era bastante horrible, la verdad. Era como un collage de sprites diferentes. A ver, cualquier cosa estaría mejor que esto.
But this isn't as simple as doing UI or tiny 16-bit sprites. This is a large-scale interactive background illustration that will act as the hub of my game. So many conversations, interactions, and scenes will take place here. So many memories will be formed. It will be forever tied to the identity of my game. And I feel honored to do it myself, yet overwhelmed at the same time. I can't fart this out plain simply. The colors must feel right, the vibe must be perfect. I need some practice, and it's been a long time since I've drawn seriously, so I just need to get warmed up. I decided to do a full course on drawing backgrounds for animated cartoons by Susan Yu. If I was sponsored by Domestika, this would be a great time to transition, but unfortunately I'm not. Domestika, ring me up. I'd say my biggest weak spot as an aspiring artist is impatience, which is ironic because it's the same urge that gets me to move in the first place. It's what gets me to trip as well, yes. It can also be applied to programming and even the reason I don't enjoy design as much. It doesn't feel like creating or producing. Sometimes it can be tempting to not really think about what you're gonna program and just kind of vibe it out as you go. And yet planning stuff, anything from writing some notes on pen and paper to making a full-fledged UML diagram, increases your efficiency so much. But you become overconfident and tell yourself, I don't need it, I can finish it faster if I skip it. Design is a process of thinking and writing and iterating, but thoughts and wireframes won't make it into the final game. Does a wireframe really need to exist before the menu? Does a table of items really need to exist before the items? Does a character web really need to exist before the story? Perhaps it'd be faster if I just skip it. So drawing a sprite does contribute to the game, but like programming, planning it out isn't making it. Gathering references, mood boards, making different sketches, making a color palette, it's tempting to just go, get on with it. Why spend 2 days on a drawing you can finish in 2 hours? It'd be faster if I just skip it. It is the year 1498 and Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan, is getting impatient. He is currently overseeing the remodeling of the Church of Santa Maria delle Grazie and commissioned a particular painting to a distinct and renowned contemporary artist known as Leonardo da Vinci. But the painter has requested yet another delay, and Ludovico starts to wonder if it would not have been wiser to commission this painting to a quicker and cheaper artist. Leonardo often took long break periods from his work, and it is said that while working, he sometimes stood and looked at his painting for hours without articulating a single brushstroke, as he figured precisely what he was going to paint. One day, 3 years after the painting was commissioned, Leonardo presented his piece, The Last Supper, an emblematic and key piece in history that is still renowned to this day by its dramatic composition and psychological depth. Contemporary Italian painter Giorgio Vasari wrote that it was a thing most marvelous and extraordinary, capturing the apostles' varied reactions with unprecedented lifelike expression. and Ludovico Sforza was satisfied with his commission in the end. But what does this tell us about art for video games? And how does this tie back to the backstage, you may be wondering? Well, you don't need to be a renowned Italian painter to make art for video games, but you do in fact need time. Think, discard ideas, find references, look at different styles, do some other drawing, just for funsies, and as a distraction then come back, make some sketches, go to the beach, don't rush, you're not a slave to dopamine. If Leonardo can take 3 years, you can take 3 days. And that's the mentality I followed when making the art for RoseWars. I did a course on animated backgrounds. I spent a couple of days on that, really experimenting, learning, perfecting. I did some sketches, tried this layout, ended up going with something like this. Looked at color palettes, looked at games, started perfecting detail after another, shadow, texture, pixelate, outline. I really cared not to rush and even had fun sprinkling in some Easter eggs about previous games I've made. I put it into Godot, and for the coup de grâce, turned out some rad 2D lightings and separated different elements into separate sprites so they can be Y sorted. And voila! I know it's not professional state-of-the-art, but I think it really captures the vibe I want for my game, and the characters feel right at home on this backstage. So this brings us to the end of yet another chapter in the adventure of our slothful yet now more patient hero. Hooray! I hope this little video inspires you so that next time you're feeling overwhelmed by the pressure of producing and fighting against the clock, you may take control of your path and tell yourself that it's okay to take your time, and whatever activity you apply this to will likely see its results enhanced by the foresight granted by your patience. Join me next time as we return to the realms of design and programming to fight against level design, minigames, and the complexities and nuances of building relationship systems. Lazy Game Dev bidding you farewell, and stay lazy.